Welcome to The Scoop, our quick yet informative discussions on GPS fleet tracking trends and tips and insights on how to run your business more efficient and effective. In today's discussion, we're going to focus on 3G, 4G, 5G, and beyond, and what it means and why you should care. My name is Jill Bender. I'm with ClearPath GPS and delighted to host this session today with Steve Wells, co-founder, and brings a wealth of experience, 15 plus years in the telematics and communications industry. So welcome, Steve. Help us out. Lots of noise out there when it comes to 3G, 4G, sunsetting. What is this all about?
Well, so basically, as you know, our whole telematics and the IoT space is very dependent on cellular communications. So, and as everyone who's got an iPhone knows, there's been 2G, 3G, and now there's 4G and even 5G that's very popular right now. So the telematics space is really, when we started, there was 2G devices, G meaning generation, so second generation devices for data. 3G became very popular and has kind of been around for actually, frankly, 20 years now. So we've had this third generation devices, and now we're moving to 4G and what they're also calling 5G. But as part of that transition, the cellular providers need to actually reprovision the towers to have these new networks. So as they have to put these new towers out, they've got to shut the old ones down. And therein lies the problem for people like us in the telematics space, is that the devices that are on the 2Gs and even 3G networks, especially the 3Gs right now, those networks are going to shut down, those devices will go dark. So we've got a lot of lead time to understand that and get ahead of it, but those devices will go dark by the end of, in this case with the AT&T 3G network, by the end of February 2022. So you can see we've got a period of time to make that transition.
Not lots of time there. Okay, so share with us though, is this something that's going to be consistent that we're going to have to go through over and over again, like 10G out in the future?
Yeah, no, really, that's a really great question and a big issue for a lot of people is like, because many of us have been through this when AT&T shut down their 3G or their 2G network, for example, and there was a lot of people left hanging by that. So the industry as a whole got together and said, okay, we've got to have a long-term solution, and that solution is that in the future networks, there's a 2G, 3G, 4G. These are all high bandwidth networks. The industry, because our devices use such low bandwidth applications or such low bandwidth requirements, that they've created a category M, category for machine. Because of course the IoT industry is exploding right now. The the M2M space is becoming very prolific. And the last thing we want to do is be in the cycle that when 5G, 6G, 7G comes out, that everybody's got to go through this again. But with Cat-M, you've got this nice little piece of bandwidth at the bottom that will have longevity throughout all these networks. So even though we're all making this one last move to these 4G devices, but they'll have this Cat-M bandwidth that will give us a long, long runway into the future. So it's a really good investment now.
Well, and that goes back to, my original thought here was like, okay, this might be a dumb question, but why not just have all these different networks coinciding together, right?
No, it's incredibly cost prohibitive for cellular providers to do this because, of course, there's thousands and thousands of cell towers around the country, the world, in fact. But in order to maintain that equipment and legacy equipment, yet deploy new equipment, it's just impossible. So what they have to do now is basically go around and make sure that every single tower is going to have to get touched. So they bring a 2G or 3G tower's got to be reprovisioned for a 4G tower. And as a result, all these towers are going to start to slowly sunset their way to this very end point in February 22 when that 3G network will go dark for the AT&T network. So the key there is it's not just a date certain at the end that they flip a switch in February of 2022. It's happening now.
It's already happening.
Yeah, it's been happening for a while. As areas of low use specifically start to go dark for 3G, they're going to start to move all the way down to where they finally actually get to that end date.
No, that makes sense. And then, you talk a little bit about the benefits, right? With, Internet of Things exploding, having more bandwidth and so forth, but touch a little bit more on that. Certainly there's challenges as well as benefits. Can you share with us a bit more?
Yeah, big benefits. Obviously, 4G is a much, much broader bandwidth than what we have currently, and so there's a lot more things you can do with it. Now, like we were saying, that the tracking devices that we sell are very low bandwidth. They use, in some cases, as little as a megabyte a month. However, and so the Cat-M will be a great solution for that. But, for example, we sell dash cameras, and dash cameras are massively data intensive, right? A gigabyte a month. And that information really requires a high bandwidth network. So 4G is perfect for that. And so in fact, the things that we're able to do with 4G really open up a lot of opportunities for us to actually start to use high bandwidth applications in the IoT and mobile resource management space. So yeah, we're really excited about all the things we're able to do with it. And we're also excited about this sort of consistency and sort of this longevity that the next generations will provide for IoT devices.
Absolutely, but you also look at too with this shutdown, right? There are some challenges, certainly within the industry, especially if they have older hardware out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as the provisioning is coming down, and it's not just automatically one date, that they better have their hardware updated. Can you share a little bit about that challenge?
Yeah, so ClearPath, because this is older hardware, right? Because ClearPath and many of our peers. No one's been selling old 3G units for years now, right? So this is a well-defined legacy issue with people who've been with us for a long time. And of course, those are, in many cases, some of our loyal customers that have been with us for a long time. And so we've gotten well ahead of it. We've gotten units to them. We're well ahead of the fact that we're helping them make that transition so that when that date comes, it should hopefully be just a non-event for them. They'll be well ahead of it and already on to the new networks. So that requires us to plan ahead, make sure we've got hardware and actually got it into their hands well ahead of any turndown.
Well, I'm going to go with this now, right? Because, right now there's such a proliferation of information hardware shortages,
Yeah.
right? So what about for telematics providers that aren't planning ahead?
Yeah, no, it's a big issue in our industry right now, where a lot of our competitors are having tremendously long lead times just getting equipment with the pandemic and supply chain shortages. Like I said, this has been a well-defined population of units. ClearPath has known about this for a long time, and we've planned well ahead, and we've got everybody spoken for, and there's no issue with any hardware. So everybody who needs to migrate will easily be able to do it.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about the sunsetting. Any definitive answers of when things are for sure going to be, that's it, lights out scenario?
Well, the AT&T 3G network is slated for February of 2022 for the end date, and of course, as I said, that's not a they all go dark. They're going dark as we speak, and that'll be sort of when the last one gets shut off, right? And then the Verizon date is basically a year after that, so they've got a little more time on that, and so we also have some Verizon customers as well, but we'll manage that accordingly as well.
You still have to be careful of those dead zones because it's not necessarily, as you just said, all at once, right? So
exactly.
It's making sure that you're ahead of it a lot sooner, even though some of those dates are further out.
Right, and our ClearPath support organization is well aware of when we start to see things go dark, and we're well on top of our customers in those areas. So, and they're heavily prioritized to make sure that they've got access and made this migration, well ahead of anything that's going to impact their business.
Yeah, business continuity is huge, right?
Yeah,
it's one thing help get results, but business continuity as well. And I think it's a relief too when you think about someone with Steve's wealth and depth of experience in an industry that this is something you all have been discussing and planning for years. Mm-hmm. And that's the good news in choosing the right partner, right?
Exactly, right.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. Lots of noise out there. I'm sure we're all getting those notices, from a personal mobile standpoint of go to 5G. But in our industry, that's, it sounds like a good plan in place from communications and the CAT M1. I always mispronounce that, right?
Yeah, right.
And so that will not have to be something we have to toil through over and over again. And that, here at ClearPath, if you have any more additional questions about this, reach out. We're here for you.
We're happy to talk with anyone,
Yeah, so in summary, we'll wrap this up. But the good news is we're on top of it, and we'll look forward to helping our customers continue to be successful.
Great. Thank you.